banking is designed to work for banks. We believe it's broken, and we want to fix it and make a real impact for years to come. This is who we are. We have a proud 80-year history of values-led banking, and as we look to the future, we're keeping what matters most about Vancity, and we're changing so that we can make a meaningful difference now. Members will see change. First of all, on how we show up across branches, digital, communications, and how banking might feel day to day, especially digitally. And this is just the beginning, because we'll keep improving based on what members tell us so that we can make Vancity a place you love to bank. Why is now the time to make these changes at Vancity? Because we're listening to our members, and we're listening to folks from across the country. They expect easy, convenient, and stress-free banking, and sadly, life is feeling more uncertain and unaffordable, and money worries are keeping people up at night. We've always delivered solutions when many other FIs can't, or worse, won't. And now we're stepping up to do even more to help people achieve their goals and dreams. What isn't changing about Vancity is who we are. We're still a cooperative owned by our members, committed to community and impact. What is changing is how we deliver that with a more modern, easier experience and more capabilities to serve members today. Vancity began because people were underserved by traditional banks. Like innovation and impact have always been a part of us. Vancity isn't leaving our roots, it's returning to them. Seeing what people need, then building what the market won't. This next phase of Vancity means using banking tools to deliver real, measurable impact while never veering from our values-based vision. Like, just watch us.
Something that I'm excited to see is what the future of Indigenous community banking is. I've personally struggled, and I've seen a lot of people struggle with traditional banks when it comes to trying to get loans or mortgages because we can't own land on reserves.
Right.
One thing that I've been excited to see, even in person, is being able to see a credit union like Vancity partner with, let's say, the Nomgees First Nation up in Alert Bay, and knowing there's an Indigenous banking side of Vancity. I would love to learn a little bit more about what the direction of the relationship with Indigenous communities and people is.
We're going to be opening our first branch on Indigenous land this year. Not far from here, the Sanok development will be the only financial institution resident in that development. To your point about not being able to own land on Indigenous territory, one of the things that we recently did, because we're trying to innovate, and this is in the spirit of innovation, we announced a fund that we developed with Kiwewin Capital, an Indigenous-owned firm, which will provide up to $100 million of financing to redevelop homes on primarily on reserves across Canada. But we're going to be working directly with Indigenous governments to negotiate agreements to enable us to actually finance people building homes. We have a crisis in many Indigenous territories where there just isn't enough housing to house the people, and we want to ensure that we're part of the solution.
In 2020, Vancity made a commitment to be an anti-racist organization.
I think in building up this talent programs initiative and this strategy, we looked at a lot of community partners that we could specifically focus on from these identities. So Black North is one of them, as well as Black Bloc Association.
Our aim is to be a hub for the Black community in Vancouver and strengthen the bond within our community by, cultivating the sense of belonging.
To be anti-racist, you can go on Instagram, look at what's happening locally, go to different events, support Black businesses.
It doesn't matter about the color of your skin or where you're from. Everyone has a right to financial inclusion, to feel belonging, and to be part of a community.
One Space is a work, well-being, childcare, and community space. The Women Entrepreneur Loan helped us push our business forward and take the next big step by sort of shifting us from short-term reactionary decision-making to being able to implement a lot more long-term strategic plans.
What made Elizabeth and One Space for All a great fit for the Women Entrepreneur Program was that they are women entrepreneurs and that they're supporting other women entrepreneurs. They had been growing and they had outgrown their line of credit, and they needed further financing and support to be able to get to the goals that they wanted to get to.
Banking with Vancity was really the only option. It was never really even a question to go with another financial institution. One Space is so community focused, we are so community based, that we wanted someone who matched those values, and Vancity absolutely does that.
We're in the Mount Tomey branch in Victoria, and we have the entire executive leadership team here today to meet with some of our team members, meet some of our members, and actually just get a little bit closer to the community here that we've been doing business in for decades. It might surprise a lot of our members to know that we now have 8 branches on the island and 4 that have just joined us from our merger with First Credit Union last year. We're really excited to be growing our presence here and serving more of our members in this community. This is a really vibrant community, a great arts community, a great small business community. It's the kind of place where Vancity, well, we know we can make a difference and help more people.
Vancity and First Credit Union are such a strong fit because those two organizations are really deeply rooted in member-based and owned community banking in their own communities. First Credit Union was actually the first chartered credit union in BC, started in 1939, so it's 86 years old now. And I think Vancity this year actually is celebrating its 80th anniversary. So for me, those are two organizations that have deep roots in their own communities and have made differences in their own ways.
From a Vancity board perspective, First Credit Union was such a great fit. Both are really centering the member and that member-owned foundation and really preserving community banking. That's what the shared spirit is all about.
We are preserving our local presence with the local branches. We are preserving that local autonomy and decision-making. We're preserving that local impact, which is really important, especially for smaller organizations. But at the same time, we're improving what are the areas that we've heard from our members that are really important. We're talking about improving that technology, improving the support and services for members, and especially for small businesses.
Smaller credit unions and community-based banking shouldn't have to choose between scaling for the future with technology needs and security needs and staying embedded in their community. So this merger has really allowed for the best of both worlds.
I think for me personally, what I'm most excited about for FCU is taking the spark that is our merger and sort of bringing it to the rest of BC in a way that might not be possible without this type of merger.
I think we can do so much more with our new merger with FCU. Just gives us so much more reach and able to do so much more for the island communities who can't get into branch. And one of the things I think is really important is Vancity is committed to branch, which means when everybody else packs up and does digital things, we will be here on the street with our members.
We've had the expression of financial force for change for a long time at Vancity, and we mean it. We want to be a real force for change. It's because we want to help you. We want to help you live a better life. We want to help you reach for your dreams, your aspirations, for your family's dreams and aspirations. And to do that, we have to be focused on you. So it seemed like a natural change to say we want to be a financial force.
For community, for hope,
For change.
for locals,
For the island?
For better.
For you.
I want to thank all of our members and our community for investing in Vancity over the last 80 years. We're so excited to be turning 80 and doing so with you.
Happy 80th birthday, Vancity.
Happy anniversary, Vancity.
Let's celebrate 80 years of Vancity.
We're so happy to be celebrating 80 years of Firsts, and we are just getting started.
Hello, everyone. It is so great to see you. Welcome to Vancity's 80th Annual General Meeting. I hope you enjoyed the marketplace and treats. My name is Rita Parikh, and I am your credit union chair. For those of you Hi, Mom, I have to say that. For those of you who haven't yet logged in, know that you have to be logged in order to vote. So please use the QR code that you see up on the screen to log in. You'll need your 16-digit Vancity card number or your FCU number and the password, which is VC2026 AGM, all caps. Our corporate secretary, Louise Kim, will take you through more of the details in just a second. If you're having any difficulty logging in, please raise your hand if you're in the room, and one of the volunteers in white shirts will come and help you out. And if you don't have a smartphone to vote from, please see one of our volunteers in the room. They'll give you a handheld clicker registered to you. So just raise your hand and let folks know. If you're having trouble online, please use the questions field to let us know your issues, and we'll help you troubleshoot. Okay, at this time, we have indeed exceeded our quorum of 100 members joining the AGM. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:45 Pacific time, daylight savings time. Okay, we're going to start with a territorial acknowledgement. As we are gathered today on the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territories, I'd like to offer a word of deep appreciation to the elders and the Vancity drumming group who offered us a powerful welcome here in Vancouver just a few minutes ago. This year's AGM is happening just before Red Dress Day, so I invite us all to keep the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit kin in mind as we walk on these lands with intention and care. Vancity is deeply committed to reconciliation, and this acknowledgement is one small effort to recognize our history, our obligations, and of course the fair and just future that we want to build together. And now we have a very special surprise. I'd like to invite the Deputy Mayor of the City of Vancouver, Sarah Kirby-Young, to the podium for a special announcement.
Thank you so much, Rita. And hello, Vancity. How's everybody doing? I have to say, this is one of the most high-energy AGMs that I've had the pleasure of attending, and believe me, I've been to a few. I appreciate also the land acknowledgement, and I also want to acknowledge I'm joined as well by Councillor Sean Orr, who's also here tonight. I just want to provide a couple of words before I tell you about an exciting thing that we're going to do, an announcement that we have coming up at City Hall to commemorate this wonderful 80th anniversary. And I think Vancity has a whole new look, and 80 is looking very good on you. I had a chance to really reflect about Vancity's values and sort of the alignment really with a lot of the work and initiatives at the City of Vancouver. And I was looking back at some of the first, and there were some things that struck me in doing a little bit of reading before today and chatting with some of your members tonight. One of them was that in 1961, as I'm sure you are all very well aware, Vancity was the first financial institution to provide mortgages to women without a male co-signer. And I actually met, yes. I actually had a chat just before this with one of your members, Elisa, and her mom was one of the women that received one of those mortgages, and she was a nurse. And that made all the difference for their family. And so these things are very real, and they have a huge impact. And I can tell you, when I first got on council in 2022, I think it was the first council in the history of the City of Vancouver that had a majority of women. And we did not celebrate or acknowledge that. I think it's a very little known fact in the city. So a lot of intersections. I also want to acknowledge, I saw Kristen Rivers here today, another one of your members and leaders that City of Vancouver shares very much. The values about reconciliation. We're the first city in Canada to adopt UNDRIP as it related to our municipal responsibilities, and just celebrated more than a decade of doing that work. And I know as well that you had another first in 2002 around being the first financial institution to market to the gay and lesbian community. And we're pretty excited in the City of Vancouver that community is soon going to open its new home, and we're able to do that work through bringing housing and a brand new building for them at the corner of Burrard and Davie. So that was pretty exciting, and I know that you've also shown a lot of leadership. We've got David Suzuki here tonight. Fun fact about David is that I met him back when I was the vice president at the Vancouver Aquarium, and I got to chat about our conservation initiatives, and we met because we were putting on a series of films about the dolphin finning in Taiji, Japan, and trying to bring that to light. And encourage people and bring awareness around the harmful practices of shark finning. And I know as well we've got board members like Bill here and other folks that do work across with zero waste, and just so many good connections in the room, and through our shared effort to sort of decarbonize buildings, and the City of Vancouver supporting things like the Zero Emissions Innovation Center. So all that to say, it is very values, deeply rooted work. We're very grateful to have a partner like you in the City of Vancouver, and that's why we would like to officially proclaim today, May 4th, as Vancity Day in the City of Vancouver, and we're inviting the leadership in Vancity to come up to City Hall, to a council meeting soon, and have an opportunity to officially receive that proclamation with all of Mayor and Council before a meeting. So I'm happy to share that gem with you tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here and celebrate this milestone anniversary, and enjoy the next 80 years. I think, as Wellington said, you're just getting started. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Kirby, for the great honor. I have the privilege of introducing now your current board of directors, and I'm going to ask them to stand as I mention their names. We have Christy Stevenson, the vice chair of the board. Christy. We've got Bill Chan, Kristen Rivers, Heather O'Hara, Joel DeYoung, Lynn Weaver, and Opreet Kang. Did I miss anybody? Great. And Juveria, welcome. I'm sorry, Juveria. There you go, that's your board. I'd also like to introduce you to Vancity's executive leadership team, whose faces and roles you'll see on the screen in front of you. On behalf of the entire board, I'd like to welcome all of you to the AGM, those who are here in person at the Sheraton Wall Center in Vancouver, those online, and those in the 3 satellite branches in Powell River, Victoria, and Abbotsford. And I want to take a second to welcome some esteemed guests. We're so glad that you chose to join us for this milestone. Notably, we have the elders from the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. They are Mary Point, Deborah Baker, and Carol Thomas. From the Indigenous Advisory Committee, we have Charla Hubert, Shannon Carmen, and Stephen Stark. From the David Suzuki Foundation, we have someone who has chosen to celebrate his 90th birthday with us. We have David Suzuki himself, a national treasure, in the room. Bravo. We're absolutely delighted to have you here. And we have the CEO of the foundation, the David Suzuki Foundation, Pierre Lechetti, as well. Thank you. From our provincial regulatory body, the British Columbia Financial Services Authority, we have Peter Palacott, and joining us in person and online, we actually have Ben Choi, who's also with DCFSA. And from the City of Vancouver, we have, as you know, Councillor Sean Orr, and you've just met Deputy Mayor Sarah Kirby-Young as well. Thank you again for coming. All right, thank you everyone. Before we dive into detail on the defining year that Vancity has just had, I want to offer a moment of silence for our dear friends who have recently passed on. It's with deep sadness that we learned in early April of the passing of Chief Rhonda Larrabee of the Kakite First Nation. While tonight we find ourselves meeting on the territory of the Tsleil-Waututh, I'm reminded that just last year, our gathering took place on the lands of the Kakite First Nation. Many of you will remember how warmly Chief Larrabee welcomed us to her community and how fierce she was in her advocacy of Indigenous rights, cultural preservation, and meaningful reconciliation. Chief Larrabee's generosity, kindness, and principled leadership left an impression on all of us and inspired us to keep striving for a more just future. Our thoughts and hearts are with her loved ones as we all grieve this tremendous loss. Some of you may have also heard about the passing of Christine Bergeron. Christine served as Vancity's CEO for 3 years and spent another 9 years in leadership roles within Vancity. Her kindness and inspirational leadership touched many at Vancity and beyond and helped us get to where we are today. I know that many of you knew her personally, and we will forever miss our friend. So I'm asking you now to join me for a moment of silence in Chief Larrabee's and Christine's memory. Thank you, everyone. Okay. As we mark our 80th year, I want to take a moment to recognize and thank members who've been part of Vancity's journey and who together have helped build the financial force we are today. We are so grateful to all of you for having chosen to bank with us over the many, many, many years, and thrilled to welcome our new members from FCU to their very first Vancity AGM. So just for fun, and very, very quickly, this is going to go super fast, I want to get a sense of who's in the room. So I'd like to ask anyone gathered here in person or in the branches to stand or wave if you've been a member of Vancity for more than a year. For those online, please type in the number of years you've been a member. So standing, lots of waving, lots of standing, some standing. All right. Okay. Now, for anyone who's been a member for more than 10 years, please stay standing and everybody else sit down. In the branches and here, online, type in the number of years. Okay, lots of people, even more people standing now. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a leap now. If you have been a member for more than 25 years, please stay standing. If you haven't been a member that long, you can have a rest. Please keep waving if you choose not to stand. Some people are dancing. I love it. For folks online, just type in the number. We see 21 years. We have 50 years online. Okay, we're going to do another leap. For those who've been a member for more than 40 years, you know what to do. Everybody else, sit down, stop waving. More dancing. All right. Okay, now another leap. We've still got 50 online. For anyone who's been a member for more than 50 years, 50 or more, stay standing. All right. We've got a few people. Okay. Dare I go to 60? Do we actually have some? All right. Can you shout out your name? Okay, we have a mic. We'd love to hear your name. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Guido Erfon, and I've been member over 55 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you all for your incredible commitment. To the folks online, we are deeply appreciative of your commitment to this cooperative, and we're so honored to have you with us. Oh, we have somebody over there. Can we run a mic? 70 years. 70 years. Bravo. For folks online, we have somebody in the room who's been with us for 70 years. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, we're going to get started with the serious stuff. I'm going to hand the floor over to the Vice President, Governance and Corporate Secretary, Louise Kim. She's going to guide us through a few of the logistical details.
Thank you, Rita. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to join all of you here today. As Rita mentioned, I have a few logistical pieces to share. First, bathrooms, including an accessible stall, can be found through the corridors on my right, over there. In the event of an emergency, exits can be found on both sides to my left and my right. For those of you in the room at the Sheraton, if you need Wi-Fi, the details are on the screen. You can connect to Vancity AGM 2026 with a password indicated on the slide, all lowercase. That's VC 2026 AGM. You will see the Wi-Fi details on the next following slides. Now, there are 3 ways to log in to vote. That's through your computer, on your own mobile device, or a handheld clicker for those of you in person at the Sheraton with us. Only members are eligible to vote. If you're on a computer, to vote as a member, ensure you're logged in with your Vancity member card or FCU number and password, which is all uppercase, so that's slightly different than the Wi-Fi password. That's VC 2026 AGM. If you're logged in as a guest, please log out and sign in again with your Vancity member card or FCU number and password by going to the AGM link at vancity.com. This will allow you to participate in the voting and also ask questions. If you're in the room or joining us from a branch and you haven't done so already, I'd like you to please scan the QR code on the screen now with your mobile device. So I'll just pause for people to scan the QR code if you haven't done so already. And some members joining us in person at the Sheraton without access to a personal mobile device to vote, you would have received a handheld clicker at registration. For those of you with a mobile device, now that you have scanned the QR code, to enable voting and discussion, you're going to select I have a Vancity member card or FCU member number. Then you'll enter your number and password, which is uppercase, VC 2026 AGM. So lastly, you will choose your location, that's in person or remote. If you're in the room at the Sheraton using a handheld clicker, please ensure your smart card is inserted chip facing you and arrows pointing down as shown on the screen. When doing so, you'll see a welcome message. So if you're having any trouble with any of these voting devices, just put your hand up and we'll send a Vancity volunteer in a t-shirt over to help you. So now that you're all set up to vote on any form of device, I'm going to walk you through how to vote. So for voting with your mobile device or computer, when the chair opens the vote, it will automatically pop up in the platform. Click on your choice, in favor or opposed, and it'll be highlighted in red as shown on the screen. You can change your vote within the voting period. And if you don't want to vote, you can press the cancel button. There is no submit button. So when the voting period ends, your option, which is highlighted in red, that will be your final vote that's submitted. For voting with your handheld clickers, if you're at the Sheraton, when the vote is opened, 2 voting options will appear on the clicker device screen. Simply press button 1 to vote in favor, and button 2 to vote opposed. Confirmation that your vote has been received will appear on the handheld clicker screen. If you wish to cancel your vote, you just press the X button, and you either re-vote or you can choose not to vote at all. Please submit your vote as soon as the vote is called for. You will have 30 seconds to cast your vote. You will see a countdown on the big screen. We will then tabulate the results and display it on the screen. So now that we've covered how to log in and also how to vote, I'd like to share with you how to move and second a motion. For motions to be considered, they need to be moved first and then seconded. For a motion to be adopted, we will require a majority vote, and that's greater than 50% of those voting, which is set out in Vancity's rules and Robert's Rules of Order. Throughout the evening, the chair will ask you to move or second a vote. Now, there are two ways to do so. If you're online, you're going to click on the questions icon. That's found on the screen as highlighted in red on the slide. You're going to type moved or seconded. Now, if you're in person, you can also raise your hand to move or second a motion. Just put your hand up. And there's also two ways to ask questions. If you're online, we're going to use that same questions icon on your screen for members to ask questions. If you're joining us in person and have questions during the discussion or question period, we'll ask you to line up at one of the 3 mics in the room. So there's one over there, one right in front of me, and one on the side over there, and they're numbered. We also have mic runners available for those who have any mobility concerns. So we're going to do our best to address as many questions as possible during this question period tonight. But if we don't get to your question, we'll answer all the questions in the days after the meeting. We'll post those responses based on the themes of the most frequently asked questions on vancity.com. Now, if you have a specific question that's related to your own financial accounts, you can see your branch manager or email us at agm@vancity.com, or you can even find a Vancity employee that's here in the room, and we'll make sure that your question gets to the right department, and confidentially, of course. So now, to ensure we are all set to vote, I invite everyone to view our very creative and controversial test question. So for this test question, the resolution will read as follows. Resolve that Vancity provides AGM snacks that are this good or even better next year. So can I get a mover? Okay, over there, moved. Will there be a seconder? Over there, seconded. Oh, yes. Oh. Can we get a mic runner over there so we can hear the question? Can we get a volunteer over there so we can assist in showing the vote? Okay, great. So if anybody has questions about your voting device, just put your hand up, and then we've got various volunteers in t-shirts that will come over to help you. Do anybody else need any help? Put your hand up. There's someone over there. Okay, I think we have someone over here. Volunteers, please. At the very front, right? Let me see if there's anyone else. And we have another person I see over there with their hand up. Okay, so for this test motion, wanted to know if there's any discussion. And if you're in the room, you can come up to one of the 3 mics. If you're online, you can type your question in the question chat. So I'll just wait a few moments to see. Any questions in the online chat? Nope. Okay, so seeing none, we're going to move to the vote. So everyone, please cast your vote now. And remember, there's 30 seconds. so the results are in now. Okay, so we have 458 in favor, 21 opposed. So that means that the motion has passed, which is really good news for our AGM next year. So that means Vancity should provide AGM snacks that are this good or even better next year. So thank you, everyone. This concludes our section on housekeeping and voting procedure. I'm now going to hand the floor back to Rita.
Thanks, Louise. I'm looking forward to next year already. Okay, so we're going to get started by appointing our meeting parliamentarian and co-chair of the AGM, and that is Justin Schmid. Mr. Schmid is a professional registered parliamentarian with the National Association of Parliamentarians, with 15 years of experience chairing meetings and advising meeting assemblies on Robert's Rules of Order. Mr. Schmid is here to advise us on meeting procedure tonight. At this time, I'm seeking a mover and a seconder to appoint Justin Schmid as both our meeting parliamentarian and our co-chair for the AGM. Can I get a mover, please? So moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded. Thank you. Before we move to vote, is there any discussion? I'll ask for folks in the room, if you have a question on the resolutions, to move to a mic. Folks online can type it in. Okay, we have a hand raised. Are you able to make it to a mic? Should we bring a mic to you? Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, the screen says, please vote now. And if you vote now, will the vote count?
The vote has not yet. No, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. And sorry, I should ask people to state their name as they offer a question. The vote is not yet open, and so that is a little bit misleading. You are correct. Oh, and I'm being told the vote is currently open and it will indeed count. I will start the 30 seconds nonetheless at some point. I see no other questions. There is a question. If this motion fails, what would happen? Very quickly, if the motion were to fail, we would, Justin would not be our parliamentarian. However, he has kindly offered to stick around to give us any advice if we need it. Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to ask you to vote, and voting continues to be open. Please cast your vote. Okay, we have the results. They are going to show up online. Here we go. We have 45 in favor, 23 opposed, and the motion has passed. Thank you. Justin has been appointed as parliamentarian. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn now to the standing rules. We're just going to highlight a few of them tonight. First, only voting members of the credit union are entitled to speak and to vote. On each motion or report, members may speak or ask a question for no longer than 2 minutes at a time. Please keep your questions and comments brief and to the point. The AGM is for the purpose of transacting the business of the general membership of the Vancouver City Savings Credit Union. Issues of a personal nature won't be addressed during the meeting. but may be referred to an appropriate employee, and there are lots of them around. So I am seeking a mover and a seconder to approve the standing rules. Can I get a mover, please? Thank you. Thank you for that enthusiasm. Is there a seconder? Seconder, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. There are no questions. We're going to go for a vote, please. We're moving to the vote. Please cast your vote. There we go. Okay, the results are in. We have 455 in favor, 11 opposed. We have adopted the standing rules. Thank you. Okay, on to the agenda. You should have a copy of the draft agenda in the package that was posted online. We've also placed the agenda on your screens. The draft agenda in the package included a section for new business, which was meant to be used for member proposals or special resolutions. Since none were received in advance of the meeting, this section has been removed. Is there a motion that the 2026 Annual General Meeting agenda for Vancity be adopted as presented? Please type in the chat if you'd like to move this motion. Is there a mover here in the room? Moved. Thank you. Do we have a seconder? I see a couple of hands. Thank you. The motion has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, there are no online questions either. So we're going to proceed to the vote. Go ahead and cast your vote. Okay, the results are in. We have 462 in favor and 12 opposed. So the motion has carried and the agenda has been adopted. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now we will move on to the board and CEO reports. I'm sure many of you will have questions. You always do. I'm just going to ask that you hold these until the end, until the question period, which appears later on in the agenda. So I'm going to start with the board report. And because we are 80 years old this year, and because we have so many people at the AGM who've been with us for decades, I just want to offer a quick nod to our history. Many of you know that 80 years ago, 14 regular Vancouverites came together to solve a problem. I'm picturing them sitting around a kitchen table because I think that's where some of the best innovation happens. But they met somewhere to address two issues: lack of affordable access to healthcare and lack of access to credit. So creating a cooperative, interestingly, could solve for both. Healthcare, because at that time, universal healthcare didn't yet exist, and forming an association was the only way you could get access to nonprofit prepaid medical plan. And credit, because at that time, the banks simply wouldn't serve those folks. The profit was just too small. The businesses and homes they sought to own were on the wrong side of town. By pooling their money in a financial cooperative, a credit union, they could start lending to each other. And so, inspired by a movement that had taken off across Eastern Canada, they founded Vancity. And from the beginning, they were big tent people. They wanted to build a solid life and future, not just for themselves and for their children, but for their broader communities as well. And, you know, I wonder if any of them could have imagined what would come of that one simple act of collective action, and that by the end of 2025, the co-op they founded to meet the financial needs of 14 people would actually be meeting the financial needs of close to 590,000 members, and employing more than 2,300 people. In fact, last year was the most financially successful in our entire history. We offered more lending and backed more small and medium-sized businesses. We invested in more affordable housing builds and renewed more mortgages. We supported more community events and amplified the efforts of more nonprofits than we have in almost any other time in our history. And our CEO, Wellington Holbrook, will share the full good news story in just a sec. But I want to reflect on that one courageous act for just another minute, because I think it's that power, a power born of the belief that out of collective action can come a common good that's emboldened Vancity over the past 8 decades. The boldness that it's that boldness, I think, that has led Vancity to claim a lot of the firsts that Sarah mentioned earlier over our lifetime. You know a lot of them. First to lend to a woman without requiring a male co-signer. The first to provide socially responsible funds to our members to invest in way back in 1986. We pioneered banking from home technology through a device that hooked up to TV sets, believe it or not. And that was in the 1990s, long before the internet made banking from home so common. We were the first to become carbon neutral way back in 2008, and the first to commit to achieving net zero by 2040. During COVID, we were the first to cut credit card interest rates to zero. And for many of you, and we heard some of that tonight, we were the first institution that would offer a mortgage to your immigrant parents, and the first that would offer them a loan to start or expand their businesses. We were the first to create, just last year, a multiplex mortgage, and you'll hear more from Wellington on that one too. And we were the first and remain the only financial institution in the country to pump 30% of our profits directly to our members and communities annually. Yeah, that deserves applause for sure. But as we all know, the world is in a state of bewildering upheaval. Our values as humans, as neighbors, as those who believe in fairness and equality are being tested. And the industries, businesses, ecosystems, and social systems that we all rely upon seem to be threatened. In light, or perhaps darkness, of this challenge, we wonder, who is Vancity called to be? The guidance for us comes from that courageous, cooperative history that I've just mentioned. And I think you'll find that bold, cooperative spirit directly inspiring our strategy. It's that strategy which aims to put every dollar to work in service of you, in making life more affordable, our communities more resilient, our economies more equitable, and our futures more secure. In 2025, that meant striving to embed impact into each and every line of business. And Wellington's going to offer more detail on that. But what you'll hear is that we reignited our efforts to support small and medium-sized businesses. We expanded our commitment to women entrepreneurs. We built powerful relationships with Indigenous partners, relationships that will allow us to deliver more capital to more entrepreneurs in service of Indigenous nations' own visions. Our investments in community real estate have helped make housing more affordable for thousands, and at a time when speaking of the climate emergency is almost verboten, Vancity has doubled down. Of course, there's more. Recognizing the power of the cooperative ecosystem, we're finding ways to strengthen this and scale the sector. That includes investing in other credit unions in the province. As I mentioned earlier, Vancity has recently welcomed first credit union members in Powell River, Courtenay, Union Bay, and Hornby Island to the Vancity family, and we are thrilled to be able to provide more services and more products to members in these communities. And let's not forget that lots of money is now flowing once again to a broad range of community partners, including many groups who provide critical services to the marginalized and critical challenges to the systems that marginalize them. All this work and leadership in values-based banking was powerfully recognized this past March when the Global Alliance for Banking on Values elected Wellington to join their board. And also this past April, when Forbes recognized us again as one of the world's best banking institutions. Yeah, that's pretty profound. So we are called to be what our founders envisioned, an institution invested in our collective well-being, an institution that is banking on us, on our courage, on our values, on our collective ambitions, and on what we hold dear. We stand proudly on the shoulders of these founding members, and I'm going to turn it over to Wellington now to describe what he can see from that vantage point. Wellington?
It's so great to see everyone here today. Thank you, Rita. It is wonderful to be standing here again. I'm thrilled to be providing an overview of the fantastic year we had here at Vancity. Around here, it doesn't feel like we're 80 years old, does it? The vibe in the room today, our fresh and vibrant new look, feels like we're young again and ready to take on the world. My commitment to you last year was to make Vancity the best financial institution, period. The best banking experience, the most impact, and the hope and optimism that you can achieve your goals and dreams, even in tough economic times. That's a long-term commitment, and we know we're not there yet. But we have been leaning into this work, and we've taken some very big steps since our last AGM. For example, we modernized our contact center platform, so you will wait less and have a better experience interacting with our teams. But our biggest step forward is our new state-of-the-art app and online banking experience. And from well, and we certainly, and I totally appreciate that sentiment, and there'll certainly be time to talk about that in the Q&A for sure. But for me as a user, I can share that the new digital banking app is night and day. It's easier to use, it's intuitive to navigate, and a modern design. It closes many of the gaps to other big financial institutions, and the best part is that instead of a static experience that doesn't change for years at a time, you'll see enhancements coming out every few weeks as we advance the app based on your real-world feedback, just like any app you might use on your phone or device. And for those many members who said that your kids, including your adult kids, won't bank here until our digital experience improves, I hope you might suggest to them that now is the time to join us. And now, our next step is being much more visible everywhere we operate, with new ads, better promotions, more innovative products, and a larger presence in community. My goal from last year was to win back your trust, be the a bank of choice for you, your kids, everyone who's left us in recent years, and everyone who wants a financial institution that does banking differently. There's a lot more for us to do, but we're now better positioned than ever to do that. And it's starting to show in our 2025 performance. In 2025, we posted a net profit of $69.9 million. That's still far below where our potential is, but it's a remarkable achievement after posting a $1.3 million loss in 2023 and a modest $5.8 million profit in 2024. That included significant growth in both lending and member deposits, our total core revenues reached over $675 million, a 31% growth over 2024. And net interest income was up more than 38% year over year. Non-interest income grew a little over 3%, an area that we know we can do better. And for the first time in our history, our total assets and assets under administration now exceed $41 billion. I'm just going to pause there for a moment. That's $41 billion. And this is maybe the notable part here, we're again the largest credit union in Canada by assets. This reflects that many of you already trust us to be your best financial partner, to deliver the right solutions and products and help you achieve your goals. But we know we have more to do. The best-in-class banking experience starts with how we serve you, and that requires significant capital investment to have the best systems, technology, and facilities. And we are making those investments. Our digital banking upgrade for retail members was such a priority that it was by far the largest expense in our more than $25 million in capital expenditures that we incurred in 2025. The next step is extending this upgrade to business members, and this is another big investment that we're making in 2026. But the turnaround in our 2025 profits enable us to tackle other big priorities in 2026 and beyond, such as modernizing the system that processes your loans to make approvals go faster and make the whole borrowing experience easier for you. And we're taking on the work to modernize our core banking system, the back-end spine of our operations, which is now more than a decade old. This will enable us to be more nimble in how we serve you. We're opening 2 more branches, in addition to Burquitlam, which we just opened in February, and which we'll have a grand opening later in May. And many other technology improvements that are happening that will enhance your banking experience.
Where are the branches you're going to be opening?
We'll get to that in the Q&A, but there's one right downtown here. The other one is going to be at Sanok. For 2026, we're investing more than $58 million in capital expenditures. Our total spend on technology, including staffing, ongoing costs, and new technology projects, is impressively well over $150 million, making us a significant technology company in our own right here in British Columbia. And I should add that this significant investment and our broader turnaround are happening in a volatile external environment, characterized by ongoing economic uncertainty and structural change across the financial services sector. Market volatility, cost pressures, and sensitivity to interest rate movements continue to shape both consumer and business confidence. And that affects demand for financial products and services, which in turn influences financial performance and operating conditions for financial institutions. But we face these realities building from a position of strength. We have a well-established and values-driven brand and a solid capital base. And we have a broad range of products and services that support stability as we continue our transformation. And one important thing that we are closely monitoring is the impact of current economic conditions on some of our members, which unfortunately means higher risk of loan defaults and delinquencies. And that's also a risk that can affect our own financial results. We're always here for our members when they need us. There is nothing more important to us. And we're committed to working with our members who are affected to find better outcomes. Another important thing in uncertain market conditions is to stay efficient and disciplined. Our total operating expenses in 2025 were just under $530 million. Higher than in 2024, but in line with inflationary pressures. Total salaries and benefits, our largest expense item, grew only marginally. Vancity ended 2024 with a total of 2,360 employees and total salaries and benefits just below $324 million. Those numbers grew to 2,484 employees and just under $330 million in total salaries and benefits in 2025. And we concluded a collective bargaining agreement with our unionized portion of our employees that provided them with significant salary and benefit gains. In addition, Near the end of 2025, we announced our merger with First Credit Union, now FCU Community Financial, and that meant 108 new active employees joined us, and we're so glad to have you. With an added December total cost of just under $800,000 in salaries and benefits. I'm delighted to welcome all of these employees and all of our new members from FCU into our family. And you should know the driving force behind this merger is a deep commitment to community banking. That's why we're opening branches when many others are closing them. We believe banking should be conducted for the local community, and this banking model is at grave risk today. This merger keeps banking decisions at FCU Community Financial local, but gives FCU Community Financial members and employees access to all of Vancity's technology and products and services. This merger is a model for helping other communities in BC preserve the local banking they need and cherish. If you want to know more about our financial position, all of it is in our financial statements for 2025. The statements were prepared under Section 129 of the Financial Institutions Act, and you can find them online, on the annual report website, at our community branches, or as part of your AGM package. In 2025, we also renewed our commitment to community and impact. Nearly 4,000 units of affordable housing were constructed or renovated with financing from Vancity. These are numbers we're really proud of. And we saw a 54% increase in PlanetWise lending last year. This is an important product to support better choices for the environment when conducting renovations on your home. And thanks to our improved financial performance, more money is again being invested in the community through our Shared Success program. In 2025, we distributed a total of $5.3 million in Shared Success funds. That means more than 490 grants supporting over 400 organizations. And right now, that's a lifeline for many amazing community organizations all over the regions we serve. And it's all supported because you bank with us. We're also embedding impact even more deeply into our business. One example is offering innovative and impactful products and services. And in 2025, we rolled out our unique multiplex mortgage, the first in Canada. This mortgage helps members address housing affordability by building additional units on their lots. And earlier in 2026, we rolled out an impact-focused term deposit that reached its $250 million cap before the end of March, reflecting incredible demand for this type of product. And we now offer a new FlexPath mortgage, which makes qualifying for a mortgage possible even if you're self-employed, work on commission, or have a variable income. One thing I can assure you is that more innovative products will come in 2026 and beyond. All these changes are guided by our Vancity 2.0 vision to transform Vancity in bold and meaningful ways to be the financial institution our members need us to be now and for the future, while relentlessly holding true to the values that define who we are. In the year of our 80th birthday, we'll continue to reinvent banking for our members, continue to work to provide the banking experience our members deserve, and continue to build a better future for all. 2025 was a milestone year on this journey. We've made great progress, but we know we have a lot more to do, and we're just getting started. Thank you all. Back to you, Rita.
Okay, thank you so much, Wellington. I'm now going to call on Vancity's Audit Committee Chair, Director Heather O'Hara, to present the Auditor's Report and Sustainability Assurance Providers Report on behalf of KPMG. Heather.
Thank you, Rita, and good evening, everyone. A heartfelt welcome to all Vancity members joining us today as we celebrate 80 years. Wow, what an incredible journey. As you have seen in our year-end financials and annual report, Vancity had a very successful year in 2025. This includes a 30% shared success contribution of $21 million for community, derived through our strong financial performance and profit of $60 million. Along with the growth of our assets under administration, now at $41 billion. As always, Vancity financial performance is deeply rooted in our values and commitment to impact. We continue to strive and earn the ongoing trust of our members And your member deposits let Vancity do what we do, to support the communities we serve, invest in the technology to take us forward with confidence, and create the absolute greatest impact for people and planet. As your Vancity Audit Chair, it is my absolute privilege to present the Auditor Report and Sustainability Assurance Provider Report on behalf of KPMG. KPMG LLP was appointed as the external auditor of the credit union for the year ended December 31st, 2025. In this role, KPMG was engaged by Vancity Credit Union to perform an audit of the annual consolidated financial statements of Vancity for the year ended December 31, 2025, which is a regulatory requirement for all credit unions in British Columbia, and to provide assurance over key accountability data, information, and principles included in the 2025 annual report. Third, the KPMG Independent Auditor Report is included in the 2025 Consolidated Financial Statements. The KPMG Independent Assurance Report over Vancity Accountability Reporting is also included in the 2025 annual report. There are no concerns to discuss with you with respect to the reports provided by KPMG. Furthermore, the Audit Committee has reviewed the work performed by KPMG and confirms that KPMG has remained independent from Vancity in the context of rules established under professional standards, received the full and total cooperation of management and employees of Vancity in conducting their audits, and were provided with full access to Vancity's books, records, and during their audits, and were able to carry out their audit procedures without any restrictions or limitations. I'd also like to share an additional note to Vancity members on our external auditor practices. To ensure auditor quality and independence, Vancity adheres to CPA Canada and Canadian Public Accountability Board standards, also endorsed by the Institute of Corporate Directors. These include 1, an Audit Committee annual review of the external auditor. 2nd, an Audit Committee-led comprehensive review every 5 years, and periodically undertaking an external audit tender process to ensure continued service alignment with the needs of Vancity. In alignment with all of the above, the Vancity Audit Committee is currently conducting its 5-year comprehensive review on KPMG. Furthermore, Vancity will also undertake a comprehensive tendering process for external auditor services within the next 12 months. Thank you. Rita, back to you.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, and thank you, KPMG. We're now going to move on to the motion to adopt the auditor report. Is there a mover for the motion that the auditor's report and sustainability assurance provider's report for the year ending December 31st, 2025 be adopted? You should see the motion on your screen. Mover? Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you. And is there any discussion? Okay. Okay. We have a question. We have a question online, so I'll just read it out. Okay. Your CEO spoke of the total assets managed being over $41 billion. Why is the total assets on the audited December 31st, 2025 financial statements showing $31,464,519 in the thousands? Which one of you would like to answer that?
I'm just wondering if it's consolidated, that number he's looking at.
It's the I can just quickly and easily answer that one. We have two types of assets. We have assets that are administered directly and on balance sheet at Vancity. We also have assets, for example, things like mutual fund assets that where members invest in certain products and services, but they're not held on the balance sheet of Vancity directly. So we call that assets and assets under administration. That number is 41 billion. The number of 31.5 billion, as referenced here, would be the loans and assets directly held on the balance sheet of Vancity.
Thank you, Wellington. Okay, so there are no other questions and no more chatter online. So I'm going to ask you to please go ahead and vote now. Okay, we have the results. They are going to appear on your screen. We have 430 in favor, 13 opposed. The auditor's report has been adopted. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to appointing the auditor for this year. You'll now see our second motion on the screen. Is there a mover that the Chartered Professional Accounting Firm of KPMG LLP be appointed as external auditor for Vancity's financial statements for 2026, with the Board of Directors authorized to fix the remuneration for KPMG LLP? Is there a mover? We have got a mover. Is there a seconder? Seconder. Thank you. Excellent. Is there any discussion? Just going to wait a minute. We realize that not everybody online types at 300 kilometers an hour. There's no additional questions online, so please go ahead and vote. Okay, we have the results. Drum roll. All right. 411 have voted in favor, 34 opposed. The motion has passed, and KPMG LLP has been appointed auditor for 2026. Thank you again. All right, I'm now going to pass the mic to my colleague, Joel DeYoung, who's chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee, to present the results of the 2026 Board of Directors election.
Thanks, Rita. Each year, the Board of Directors election is overseen by the Nominations and Election Committee, and so I want to take a moment to acknowledge the folks that joined me serving on this committee this year. Julia Balabanovich, who served as our vice chair, Hannah Cho, Nav Chima, Rita Parikh, and Floyd Yamamoto. I want to say hello to all the Nominations and Elections Committee members who have joined us tonight in person and online. Thank you so much for your efforts serving on the committee this year. In this year's election, we had 8 candidates running for 3 positions on the board. We had 27,626 valid ballots cast this year in total. That was both online and by mail. I want to take a minute to recognize all 8 candidates: Heather O'Hara, Parminder Virk, Opreet Kang, Christy Stevenson, Brett Collins, Amjo Hall, Lindsay Leclerc, and Phil Moore. This is a really healthy turnout this year in this election for us, and it's all because of you, our members. So I want to take a minute to thank you on behalf of our board for voting and for being part of the credit union's democratic process. It's truly amazing to see all of your voices heard in such a big way in our election. And now, without further ado, I want to announce the results. You elected the following 3 directors, and they will each be serving a 3-year term. Heather O'Hara with 17,547 votes, Opreet Kong, 15,928 votes, and Christy Stevenson, 13,176 votes. Congratulations to you all. On behalf of all Vancity members, I want to give my thanks to all the candidates who ran in this year's Board of Directors election. You know, putting your name forward and going through the process takes real time and commitment. And without members like you, we would not be the strong and democratic cooperative that we are. You're all great examples of our passionate and engaged membership. Back to you, Rita. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joel, for that wonderful overview, and congratulations again. And thanks to everyone for participating in our democratic process. We're now going to move on to the ratification resolution, and I'd like to invite our Vice President, Governance and Corporate Secretary, Louise Kim, who you met earlier, back to the stage to share a brief rationale for the resolution ahead of us. Louise.
Thank you, Rita. So before we invite the independent auditor to speak, I want to briefly set the context for the 2025 vote ratification for 4 members today. At our last AGM, members voted on 10 resolutions over the course of the evening, but a vote calculation error led to each resolution being reported inaccurately. Several members brought this error to our attention at the AGM and after. So the Governance Office launched an investigation. Vancity immediately engaged an independent review by MNP. MNP is Canada's 4th largest national professional services firm and largest Canadian-owned accounting firm. Among other services, MNP provides comprehensive and independent audit services for financial institutions, working with more credit unions across Canada than any other firm. Once the results of this review were complete, Vancity published the findings on vancity.com and also sent an email to members who were at the AGM. The link to the website page with these findings can be found on the QR code on the screen. I'm now going to ask Alan Cosgrave, Regional Managing Partner, BC Advisory from MNP, to present the findings of the investigation, and then to our parliamentarian to ratify the 2025 resolutions.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Vancity, for inviting me to speak today, and I'm pleased to present MNP's independent audit findings. Following last year's AGM, Vancity identified an error in how votes were tabulated during the meeting. Specifically, an inaccurate number of total voters was used when calculating the results of each vote. As a result, all the real-time votes announced at the AGM were inaccurate. To ensure complete accuracy, Vancity commissioned an independent review by MNP. MNP carefully retabulated all 10 motions using data from the voting systems and confirmed that every motion received majority member support. Specifically, 3 motions were incorrectly reported as not having passed. Motion 6, board and committee retainer increases. Motion 7, addition of a board vice chair retainer. And motion 8, ad hoc committee meeting and preparation fees. The 3 motions seen on the screen were initially reported as failing at the AGM, but passed under the corrected methodology. In conclusion, our report confirms that the AGM voting error stemmed from a calculation issue rather than voting irregularities. MNP's independent validation provides assurance that the voting data was retabulated appropriately, the final corrected outcomes reflected members' actual voting intent. Only the 3 motions seen on the screen required revised outcomes with no impact on remaining motions. That concludes my report, and I'm pleased to pass the floor back to the parliamentarian.
Thank you, Alan. I'm Justin Schmidt, the parliamentarian. Now we have a resolution ahead of us to ratify the decision of the members of the 2025 AGM. It's displayed on the screen. Just as a reminder, ratification of a resolution is a confirmation and affirmation of the original decision of the membership. This is not opening up the original resolutions for discussion, but rather ratifying the original determination of the membership as validated by the independent audit. Is there a mover for the resolution? Thank you. It's moved. Is there a seconder? It is seconded. The resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We're just giving some extra time for our online folks. I have a question at microphone 1. Please go ahead.
Thank you. More of a comment.
Oh, can you just state your name first, please?
Yes. Member Deborah Baker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that why I'm saying I'm in favor of this ratification and moving it is because what I've heard so far from this AGM is accountability and transparency by the board of directors as well as by the CEO and the senior leadership team. And so therefore, I want to thank each of them that have been involved and also thank all of the members of the Vancity Credit Union for all the good work that has happened, not only recently, but in the years, over the years, as our elders have taught us, late Audrey Tealtalote Rivers, in regards to always recognizing the past, the present, and the future. And what I've heard today is a lot of good news, and as well as from our CEO that there's still much more work to be done, but what I've witnessed so far today is a lot to celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you. We do have 2 online questions. I'm going to go to the first one. Please explain the methodology to determine the miscalculation. And I'm going to ask Alan to answer that question.
Thank you. So excellent question. So basically, when we looked at the number of votes that were cast, the denominator that was used was actually the number of people in the room. So under Robert's Rules of Voting, it's if you have 20 people who are in the room, 15 decide to vote, we use 15 as the denominator. So we use that to determine whether the vote has passed for or against. So you'll see that methodology obviously being used today throughout the voting that's taking place. So yeah, it was actually picked up by some members during last year's AGM where they noticed that actually the denominator appeared to be incorrect. An internal investigation took place. We were engaged then to conduct our review and retabulate all the votes actually. So we looked at all the motions that were put forward and confirmed that it wasn't just restricted to the 3 that were identified where there was that issue with the denominator that was being leveraged.
Thank you. I see no further questions here, and I think that answered the question online. Oh, we have one more question online. How do we prevent this from happening again? Alan. or
yes. Louise?
Yes, sure.
Thank you for that. We took the learnings from the M&P independent report to ensure when there's complexity to voting to make sure that it's clear. So this year you'll see that there was 2 options to vote, in favor or opposed. And then we explained that if you did not want to vote, you just didn't have to do anything. So that's how we addressed it this year, by learning from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. And we have a question at microphone 2.
I joined Vancity in 1981, the same year I was sworn in as a Vancouver police officer. What attracted me then, and what still does today, is that Vancity's commitment to community and treating people fairly. These recommendations reflect those same principles, and I believe we should honor them by ratifying them.
Thank you. I see no further speakers at the microphones. There are no additional, we have one more additional online question. In voting for the original intent, are we voting for the corrections? Yes, we are correcting the record and we are correcting those motions as reflecting that they are now passed. So I think we're good with that. All right, I see no more speakers at the microphones, no additional online questions, so we're going to proceed to the vote. The vote is in front of you on the resolution. Please vote now. All right, the votes are in. Please display the results. There are 409 in favor, 38 opposed. The motion has carried. Thank you. The ratification is adopted. I would like to note that the 2025 AGM minutes have been approved by the board and are included in the agenda package, which is posted online at vancity.com for your information. We're now going to begin our question period. This year, we've extended the question period to 30 minutes. As mentioned before, those in person, please line up by the microphones in the room and indicate your name when you do speak. We're going to prioritize first-time speakers to ensure that everyone has a chance to contribute. For those attending online, please continue to submit your questions. We're going to do our best to alternate between in-person and online. I'm going to take the first question in person, and I'm going to go, for ease of simplicity, to microphone 1. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the tremendous work that is coming forward. It's very, very reassuring to some of us who have been in the credit union movement for many, many years. My question is there any intent to return patronage refund back to members? I believe it was voted out a number of years ago, but it is a fundamental part of being a cooperative. And I was just wondering if that will be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments. And I know you've been a longtime member of Vancity's. Thank you so much. This is a question we ask every year, and we revisit every single year. In the past few years where our earnings were lower, we had made certain choices to do things differently. And this will be revisited next year. And we certainly take feedback from our members. But what I would also say, though, is one thing we've heard overwhelmingly from our members is the desire to make sure Vancity continues to support community organizations. So really trying to prioritize as much as possible investment in those places. So that's one of the reasons that dividends have been less in recent years than perhaps prior. But thank you for that question. It's a great one.
Thank you. I'm now going to go online, and Derek Pinto asks, can Vancity promote BC democracy by getting involved in supporting electoral improvements in BC and Canada? I'm going to ask for Wellington.
You know, it's a really great question, and I certainly appreciate the sentiment behind it. I mean, it's been a difficult time in this world when it comes to democracy. What I would say is when you look at the areas that Vancity's really prioritized, one of them is supporting cooperative principles, which in essence is an extension of democratic principles. We believe it's not only important, we believe this is how great companies are built. We know cooperatives are more resilient. We know that, and in large part due to the democratic principles that underline them. But in terms of the bigger picture of supporting democracy as a principle, I know our hearts are there. We'll certainly take away that feedback as an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go back into the room to microphone number 2. Please go ahead.
My name is Herman Hui. I'd like to congratulate the merging with First Credit Union, and has been quite successful. The question is regarding the merging of 4 other competitors, including the Bushaw, become the BEM Credit Union. What does Vancity has in plan for the competition from, I don't know how big they are, probably smaller than Vancity.
Thank you. I think we got Wellington again.
Yeah, you bet. I love your question. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to see some of our friends in the credit union system go on to grow and be successful. And so very happy that some of the mergers, like you've mentioned, with Beam and Blue Shore, those things I think are good for the system. One of the challenges the credit union system is facing right now is it's becoming increasingly challenging for really small credit unions to survive in a world where investment is only having to go up for things like technology, regulatory concerns, and more. And as a result, scale does play an important role. Vancity is, again, Canada's largest credit union by assets. We know we have to continue to grow too to enable us to continue to provide the experience and to improve the experience that you expect from us. In terms of our plans, we have an open door here. In fact, we do want to welcome other credit unions that may choose to join Vancity here in British Columbia, potentially even beyond. But the reality is community banking is under pressure. We want to play a role to protect it so that instead of us seeing more and more communities going without community banking, we see more and more of them actually preserving community banking.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go back online, and our question from Nutley is, with open banking coming to Canada, how is Vancity preparing to ensure members can access new financial tools while keeping their data secure and their relationship with Vancity strong? Wellington again.
My pleasure. I love all these banking questions because this is, you can tell I'm a real banking nerd, and this is right up my alley all day long. Open banking is probably finally coming. I think we've been talking about it coming for over a decade, and we've been waiting and waiting. We think that in the next year or so, we will start to see the first remnants of it. Vancity's been ready for the last few years. We've invested heavily in data and the platforms and ability to share and receive data, and we will be participating in open banking. We think this will contribute to a better overall banking experience for most Canadians, and we want to be a part of it. Oh, what is open banking? That is a great question. Thank you. Open banking really, in its simplest form, is just a way financial institutions will be able to share banking information between each other. And what that means for you as a potential consumer is if you're doing business with one financial institution, that you don't necessarily have to repeat all the data that you've provided to them to another financial institution in some other place. So it really is just a means of making life a little bit more convenient for folks who do banking or use financial services at multiple institutions.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to microphone number 3. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Bruce Stout. I'm currently living in North Vancouver. This is an interest rate question. Most of you have seen what's happening at the pump lately with fuel prices, and I've been driving an electric car for a long time. My neighbor was asking, what's Vancity doing to help me get into an electric car? Once upon a time, Vancity had preferential interest rates for people buying electric cars, and they did the same thing for Vancity employees. So my question is, do you have a program at this time to help Vancity members purchase an electric car at any kind of an interest discount? Thank you.
Thank you.
I love your question, thank you. We would love to see a lot more folks in electric cars. You're right, I think there was a period of time when Vancity did have products and services like you've mentioned. We do not have one right now. But based on your sentiment, if that seems to be the mood of our membership, that is certainly something we'll look at for the future. So, right on.
All right, back online, we have Craig Robinson asking, membership growth, other than mergers, has been very low for the past 2 years at Vancity. What is your strategy to make Vancity attractive to new members?
Just to give you a little bit of variety here. Yeah, membership growth has been stagnant. It has been terrible. We have attracted new members and lost them fairly quickly, mostly because the online experience has not met their standard. and their expectations. So what are we doing? We're doing lots of things. You saw the new app, the new online presence. It is functioning, and it's functioning well and quickly for most folks. So that's one piece of it. We have a new brand that we have rolled out. You've seen some of it already. We're going to continue to roll out that brand in different ways over the next year. And we're getting better at the products and services that we are offering. We hope to reach more people and identify more needs. Our data are getting better at identifying what our members actually want and expect of us. So we expect to be able to deliver better so that we can retain and attract those members throughout the year.
Thank you. We're going to go back to the room, and microphone number 1. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Laurel Radley. I think I've been a member for more than 40 years, and I wanted to speak also to the shared success model. My feeling as a long-term individual member is that Vancity is heading more and more towards supporting businesses more and more, and less for the individual long-term member. And so it's not doing much for the retention potential from my perspective. I heard someone else speak to this, and I heard the answer seemed to be not likely, is what I read between that. But I think given the record-breaking profits, it might be time to reconsider that. Thanks.
Thank you.
So thank you for being a member for 40 years to start with, and we appreciate your loyalty and sticking with us through thick and thin. What I can share is today it's approximately 72% of all the business we have is with everyday folks. It's not business, it's not small business, it's people just like all of us. And that we don't see that changing. Having said that, like we also know that if we're going to build a diversified and sustainable business for the long term, we do need to have different kinds of segments in our book of business. So, and certainly when we look at the economy and some of the challenges we're facing, we do believe that local economic resilience does come largely from small business, and we want to be sure that we're there supporting them. It's also an area that other banks tend to do a poorer job serving. If you talk to entrepreneurs, many of the entrepreneurs that were out there tonight, for example, many of them will tell you that some other banks don't give them a lot of time. Yet, meanwhile, they're employing folks in our communities around us every day. So we do want to be there, there for them too. At the end of the day, we're looking to grow with regular folks. We're looking to grow with small business. We're looking to grow with everyone. We know we need to grow if we're going to make sure Vancity's here for the next 80 years. But thank you.
Okay, we're going to go online now to Boyd Thompson's question. When can members expect API access to our own banking data through open banking standards? Many of us running local businesses and cooperatives need programmatic access to our finances, and since Yodlee was disconnected, we've been stuck with manual workarounds. I'm going to assume Wellington.
I'm putting my banking nerd hat back on, which I proudly am, by the way. It's a really good question, and we were talking about open banking earlier. One of the things that are coming with open banking are the standards upon which financial institutions will share data amongst each other as well as with you. And this will likely introduce new services that will enable you to access your banking data from us and from other financial institutions easily. We will be prioritizing the standards that come out through ultimately by the government over the course of the next year or so. And we do expect that much like they've experienced in other countries like the UK and Australia, we will see similar access to data like you're asking for here.
Thank you. We're going to now go to microphone number 2.
Thank you. I'm David Johnson, Branch 15, Kerrisdale. Formerly, I was with 45 Dunbar. I've been a Vancity member for over 40 years also. And I have a comment and a question. Comment directed to Ms. Kim specifically. for voting in this meeting, I don't think everybody who wanted a clicker got one, and that includes me.
Okay.
I was waving my hand and nothing happened, so that's something you have to look at for next year to make sure that doesn't happen again. My question would be to Mr. Holbrook. I want to speak on behalf of working people who work from 8:30 to 4:30 and 9 to 5. I'm thinking particularly of the people who live in Marpole. There are a lot of apartments occupied by working people who work those hours, but Vancity went and closed the branch down there. So the only thing they can do is go up to Kerrisdale, which again is only open 9 to 5. So they're faced with going down on their day off to the Broadway branch. You know, you were saying in the presentation earlier that you wanted to create ease of transactions for members, but this is not doing it. And you also said that you want to be present in the community, but it sounds like you've forsaken that community. Marpole, as one example. So I think, you know, as you're looking at opening other branches, you should think about reopening the one in Marpole to benefit the working people who live down there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the sentiment there. When Vancity was going through a different time and a different period, some of those decisions might have been made. We're reviewing always our branch footprint and whether or not we're where we need to be to serve our members, and we'll definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
We're going to go back online, and we have from Stephen Reddy, how can we reconcile being a green company with adopting daily use of AI, which we know increases water consumption? Okay.
Did I say I'm also a tech nerd? I get it all. And I think this is a really great question. This is one of, I think, the big societal challenges we need to deal with. The reality on one hand is AI is going to completely transform banking as a service, and it's going to change the way we all bank over the coming years. It's already starting to happen. It's only going to accelerate. And if Vancity isn't participating in some way in bringing AI to our members, we will lose the battle for the hearts and minds of you or your kids or your cousins or your neighbors, and we don't want to do that. But on the other hand, there's a very real challenge that's very well laid out here around water consumption, electricity requirements, and what I can share is Vancity implemented last year a new ethical and sustainable AI strategy. It's challenging. We don't have every answer to every way we're going to ensure that our use of AI doesn't negatively contribute to the environment, but we are working through solving for that. We know we need to. We also believe we want to be leaders in helping the financial institutions in this country and beyond solve this problem. So my answer is this is a very real problem we're working on, and we're going to continue to work on it to meet our net zero 2040 commitments and to ensure that you're getting the banking you need.
Thank you. We're now going to go to microphone number 3.
I'm Janine Silverstone, and I'm a member at Branch 16. My comment and my question is about recommended nominees. I know that you have to follow that according to what the federal government has set down for financial institutions, but it seems to me that it creates an uneven playing field for those people that are not recommended. And I'm wondering how Vancity can rectify that unevenness. Because I asked the governance office this week how many people were voted for as over the last 10 years, from 2015 to 2025, and the nominees were all recommended. Now, Vancity, says and is a credit union. You say you want people to vote for whoever they want to vote for, but I think that recommending certain people for the board makes that that choice uneven. So I'm asking, how can we, as a credit union, increase the equity, the equalness of who we vote for, and still go along with recommended candidates?
Thank you for the question. I'll answer this in my role as the chair of the Nominations and Election Committee. We've definitely heard this from other members as well. For those who aren't aware, the BC Financial Services Authority, a little over 15 years ago, set out a mandate for all credit unions in BC to adopt some kind of recommendation process. Now, they weren't overly prescriptive about that and left it up to each credit union to decide how we would implement it. Of course, at Vancity, it's always been important to us that who is elected to the board of directors is in control of the membership, that it really is democratically controlled. And so we did a few things to implement what the BCFSA mandated, one of which was to recommend up to 5 candidates for what is typically 3 open positions each year. Some credit unions just recommend 3 for 3 positions, and of course that creates quite a different dynamic in the election, as you can imagine. We all may also have noticed that our Nominations and Election Committee is a majority made up of independent members. We have 2 people from the board who sit on that committee, but 4 of the members, the majority is just members at large. And that is to make sure that that committee remains independent. I can also say, as someone that is sat on the committee and been involved in the discussions after we evaluate all the people who have applied to run in the election, and we discuss who is most suited for the recommendation that we're asked to put forward, we not only look at the criteria that we put out to the membership, asking for people with specific skills, but we also talk a lot about alignment with Vancity's values, about commitment to the kinds of progressive actions that we've always tried to take as an institution. And that plays a big role in who we ultimately end up recommending. At the end of the day, though, we recommend 5 for 3 spots, and any other member who qualifies according to the rules is able to have their name on the ballot as well. And ultimately, the decision is left to you, the members. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go back online, and Edward Castrejon asks, could someone repeat how much we should expect to receive in shared success in our members' share? Rita?
Yeah, so thank you. I'm going to read this because I think this is the answer, and if I'm not, right, Louise or Wellington are going to correct me. All right, so we have eligible members receive member share dividends in years where profit support distribution, last year was one of them. For the 2025 fiscal year, Vancity committed to a dividend rate of 4%. And those payments were made in April. The payments were made in $1 increments. That meant that any member with less than $25 of Class B shares didn't receive a dividend. And that's because the amount owing would be less than $1 whole. And this change, we made the change to comply with the credit union legislation. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. We're going to go to microphone number 1.
Hi, my name is Abhinav. I've been a relatively new Vancity credit member for about 3 years. Something I've noticed is for the past year to going back to 2 years, there's been continuous offers, let's say, of, oh, hey, create a new savings account. You can get 3% to all the way to 4%. But then after 3 months, it's going to go down to 1.7. And it feels like it's rewarding new members for 3 months, but then anybody else that's been a member, their options is, hey, make a new savings account, but then, oh, if you want to deposit money, you have to go on the phone or in a branch and talk to someone. And if you don't want to go through that, you're stuck at your 0.7% of interest. Why did you guys choose to do that instead of I don't know, for example, just bumping everybody's interest rate up to like maybe 0.8, 0.9, even 1%.
Thank you. Wellington.
Thank you. That's a really good question. First of all, thank you for being a member for 3 years and for choosing us, actually. It's great to have some newer members in the room, too. You're asking a really good question, and this, when we're thinking about how we design our product offering, we're always asking ourselves questions like that. One of the challenges we do have historically had been many limitations in the digital products and services and data we had access to and how we serve our members. And we do expect, now that we have a new digital experience available, to be able to roll out new experiences as we go, including different kinds of product designs and features and services to reward members. One of the things we are looking at very seriously is how do we recognize loyalty of members who have been there with us so that it isn't always just an incentive to try and bring somebody across. I don't have a better answer for you now than to say this is something we're taking seriously and looking at, but I hear you, and I've heard the voices of other members who've asked similar questions. In terms of the requirement to call us, we totally agree. So many of our members have told us that they need a more convenient digital experience, and that is coming too.
Thank you. We're going to go online to Terry Gallegos. To save on membership fees, a certain amount must remain in one's account. Can this amount be reduced? Asking as I would like to spend that extra money on today's higher cost of living.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, it's a very similar answer, and it's a great point, right? Like, it's so funny being on stage and there's somebody talking in my ear. It's so, sorry. If I look distracted, and it's like, what's going on? The reality, there's a lot of business practices in banking that sometimes don't make a lot of sense. One of those is trying to encourage folks to hold a reasonable balance, a certain balance of deposits in their accounts. And that is one of the reasons we reduce fees. It's to recognize the loyalty of those members. It's to recognize that those members are doing a lot of business with us, et cetera. But we also recognize in times like this that things are tough. So we are looking at those balances and what are appropriate. I would say today, Vancity has probably among the lowest balance requirements to get fee waivers of any financial institution in the country. It doesn't mean it can't go lower. We're regularly looking at it, and we want to ensure that we're giving you the best offer we can.
Thank you. And we have been informed that we have less than 5 minutes left, so we're just going to be able to take a few more questions. So I'm going to go to microphone number 2.
I'll try to be quick. My name is Boyd. I'm a member for a long time. In the economy, globally, we're seeing this trend of private equity-backed monopolies and tech aggregators, and it represents a transfer of wealth from the service providers to not just big business, but to the billionaire class. I'm wondering how could Vancity support co-ops and small business in that environment?
Thank you.
Okay, so specifically, Vancity has an ambitious co-op development strategy currently, and we are seriously and actively exploring what that means for us. How do we build and how do we scale the ecosystem? We are learning about that. We are working with our community partners, including the BC Cooperative Association, the Federal Cooperative Association, and together, I think we will. It's a plan that is going to evolve. I think Wellington will have some specifics on how we'll address that on an ongoing basis.
And when I hear someone who's in love with cooperatives as a business model, that makes my day every time, just for the record. We're trying to support more community organizations that are actually driving the success of more cooperatives. For example, one of the many organizations we support here in the Lower Mainland is Solid State, which actually is helping create the formation of cooperatives. One of the challenges, though, we do have in this country is cooperatives aren't a deeply set culture yet for us today. Actually, probably one time it was, and perhaps we've receded from that, and we want to be part of the leadership in this country to bring cooperatives back for all the reasons you just shared. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we're almost at the end of our time, so I'm going to take the last question from online, and then we're going to have to wrap. But I understand that all the questions are, you can put in your questions, and there's going to be a way to answer the questions afterwards. So our last question from Pat Petrella from White Rock is asking, will Vancity adopt an approved reverse mortgage product? I understand it's a different option to the personal home equity loan and comparable interest rates. Many seniors are house proud yet cash flow frugal.
Yeah, I can't actually say that this one's been on the docket for review at this point in time. But we're always looking at a product mix, and we have a actually an outstanding product development team at Vancity that we formed over the last 2 or 3 years of great folks who are looking at questions like this on a regular basis. Reverse mortgages are a really interesting product. There was a time in Canada where there was some questionable usage around reverse mortgages, where folks were perhaps seen as being taken advantage of, where they would sign up for these reverse mortgages, receive cash, and then something would happen and the home would be taken perhaps in an unfair way. So it's also something we're very sensitive to. But it's great feedback. The times are changing. We'll keep changing too.
As we bring this year's annual general meeting to a close, I want to thank you, our members, for your time, your engagement, and your trust. And a very, very special shout out to my fellow Vancouver Island members. I hope you're doing well tonight. I hope you had a good time. I'd also like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to all of our staff who have volunteered this evening to make this hybrid event possible. So, we have Vancity's governance team, the external communications team, our branch employees, the marketing team, our infotech team. All of these folks have dedicated countless hours to ensuring that we could connect with each of you in person and virtually tonight. Thank you as well to our event production partner, Brand Live, and to our venue host, the Sheraton Wall Center. I extend my appreciation to our ASL interpreters and our voting and our audio-visual team, Encore, our voting platform partner, Lumi, whose technical support ensured tonight's webcast ran smoothly. This is, folks, this is what Vancity at 80 looks like: experienced, values-driven, and ready for what comes next. And none of this happens without you. Your participation, your questions, your confidence in us shape who we are and what we become. So thank you for holding us to the highest of standards. Thank you for believing in what cooperative banking can be. And thank you for being part of Vancity's next chapter. We're now going to move to adjourn, and I'm asking one last time, is there a mover for the motion to adjourn the 2026 Annual General Meeting at 8:36 p.m.? Yeah. Mover. Is there a seconder? Yes, there are many seconders in the room. We are going to open the polls now for a vote. Please go ahead and vote. Okay, everyone. The results. Ta-da! 284 in favor, 22 opposed. The motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Before we funnel out, please take a minute to send us any and all feedback. You can reach us at agm@vancity.com or use the QR code on the screen. We appreciate all your feedback, and we'll use it to improve the AGM next year. When completing the survey, you can also enter into a $25 gift card giveaway. As for the cashable term deposit prizes for attending the AGM, the draw will take place in about a week, and the lucky winners will be notified. You've probably seen some of our staff dash around the room. If you have a handheld device, can you please not take it home with you? Just give it to one of them before you leave. Thank you all. Thanks to all who joined us remotely. Good night. Have a safe trip home.
Things feel hard right now. A tough economy. Uncertainty. Rising prices. We all know there has to be a better way. That's why we're introducing you to the new Vancity. We believe a brighter future is possible, and we're committed to building it. For you and for everyone. So join us.